What is the nature of love? Is it just a feeling? When a couple gets married, there is that honeymoon stage where things are lovey-dovey. It's you and me against the world. But as a couple settles into the tedium of everyday life, as the pressures of family responsibilities set in, that shiny love diminishes its sparkle. And suddenly, one or both feel that they are no longer in love and must find love elsewhere. Where is that love that promised faithfulness in sickness and in health, till death? Contrary to what the world teaches us about love, love is not simply that feeling of exhilaration. It does not hide from its hardships, but bears these selflessly for the sake of one's beloved. It becomes heroic in the face of adversity. Our relationship with God is like a marriage between a man and a woman. It entails responsibilities and commitment. Love is a choice that we make every single day, just as our Lord, who is love himself, chooses every day to love us, even when we are at our most unlovable, and even when we turn away from him. When our love is fickle and unreliable, our Lord's love is faithful and steadfast. He continues to care, to provide, and to save. When things in our life are going great, we are at peace with God, and following the Lord is easy. But what happens when what we took for granted is suddenly withdrawn from us? Just as marriage has its rough patches, sometimes things happen in our lives that make us feel as though God has forsaken us. And serving Him has lost its flavor, and prayer has lost its sweetness. How do we go on? It's during these times that our faithfulness is tested. There are times when, no matter how loudly we call, our Lord remains silent, and it feels like He has abandoned us in our sorrow. At times like these, we begin to doubt our Lord's love and allow despair to take root in our hearts. In today's Gospel, Jesus says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." But how can we obey Jesus' commandments when it seems like He has turned His back on us? How do we continue when the well has run dry? Our Lord never promised us a life of comfort. He never promised a life without struggle. In fact, our Lord said that if we were to be His disciples, we would eventually encounter process. But in joy and sorrow, our Lord says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Keeping God's commandments even when God Himself seems unlovable is evidence of our persevering love, modeled after Jesus' love and obedience to the Father. It is born out of a choice to trust Him regardless of our circumstances. It requires of us much fortitude to remain faithful to Him in season and out of season. Love is a choice that we make to take upon us our daily duties and responsibilities, to take upon us the cross of following Jesus' commandments in our daily lives because we believe His words, His promises of a life of eternal happiness by His side. Just as our Lord's loving of us brought Him much pain and sorrow, but also triumph over death and resurrection, in choosing to deny ourselves the ways of the world and continuously striving to do what God requires of us, even in the absence of consolations, He elevates our desires, what gives our lives meaning and purpose, and turns bitter into sweet. In a world that is often harsh and cruel, there exists God's kingdom where His commands are held. Seek ye first this kingdom, and everything will be added unto you. If you love me, keep my commandments are not our marching orders from a God who is detached from our lives. It is our recipe for happiness from our Lord, who knows what would make us remember and become our truest, happiest selves. I'm Sheryl Coronel, and this is Faith Streams.